Allen, author of Modern Scot Patchwork. And today I'm going to be going over the 6 steps in making a tartan quilt. But before we do that, I want to show you 2 things that you're going to need to have. The first thing you're going to need to have is something to make labels with. I generally use tape and Post-its. The second thing you're going to need to have is a sewing machine that will allow you to make stitch lengths between 1.6 to 1.8 range. The standard default is 2.3 to 2.5, but that's going to be too big because later on we're going to be cutting across the seams, and if it's that big, those seams are going to fall apart. All right, so step 1 is you're going to be cutting strips from your fabrics. These tartan quilts have anywhere between 3 and 15 different fabrics. The sample I'm going to be making for you today has got 6 fabrics. So the first step is to cut strips of fabric from each of your fabrics, which are labeled. Here in step 1, from fabric A, we've cut a 2.5 inch strip, from fabric B, a 1 inch strip, and from fabric C, a 3 inch strip. In step 2, you're going to be sewing the strips you cut in step 1 together into double strip sets. These do not have to be labeled because you're going to immediately sew the double strip sets together to create quadruple strip sets in step 3, and these do have to be labeled. This is quadruple strip set 1 and quadruple strip set 4. Another thing that can be done here is you can take a double strip set and sew a single strip from step 1 to create a triple strip set. Step number 4 is you're going to be cutting quartets and triplets out of the quadruple strip set. So as you can see here, a piece has been cut at 2.5 inch intervals, and also a piece at 5 inch intervals. And these have been cut from quadruple strip set 1 to create quartets 1 and 4. From quadruple strip set 4, I cut a quartet 2 and 5, and then from triple strip sets, I cut triplet 3 and 1. There's also a new component that's introduced at this stage, and these are called connectors. Here's connector 1 and connector 4. And these are simple rectangular pieces of fabric that are cut from strips from step 1. One of the things that's important to note when you cut these quartets and triplets is that they have a direction. So this is the direction that the quadruple strip set was sewn in. However, it can also be used in the inverse position. And we'll get to that later on when we start sewing up the rows. Step 5 is making the rows. And so from the components that we cut in step 4, the quartets and connectors, I made row A. And you can see here's quartet 1, here's connector 1, and here's inverse connector quartet 1. And to create row A. And these tartan patterns are a repeating number of patterns. So in this sample, there's only 4 types of rows. And the instructions will tell you how many rows to make. How many rows to make of row A, how many rows to make of row B, and how many rows to make of row C. Step 6, the final step, is to sew the rows together. So I've done so here. Row A, followed by row B, row C, another row A, a row C, a row D, C, A, B, A. That's all there is to it, and you have made your first tartan quilt. Before I go, however, I want to talk a little bit about fabric selection. So there are 2 types of fabrics in these quilts. There are base fabrics and there are merge fabrics. The base fabrics are those colors that are the pure colors when the weft meets the warp. In this example, the base fabrics are red and black. So selecting a merge fabric, you have 3 options. You can choose some fabric that has both red and black in it. Or you can go with value and you can choose a fabric that is a mixture of the red and the black. In this case, I chose a dark red fabric. This is also true like if your base fabrics were yellow and blue, you would choose a green. Or if your base fabrics were red and blue, you could choose a purple. Your third option in selecting a merge fabric is to ignore the rules altogether and just pick whatever fabric you like. I like to tell the story of my niece Sydney, who was using the base fabrics of white and purple, and she chose for her merge fabric a bright light green. So that's it. That's all there is to making these tartan quilts. They're very easy, they're quick to make, and they're fun to make. I'm Kathy Allen. Happy quilting!